So, what does it take to succeed on YouTube this year? In this conversation with two successful YouTubers, we're going to be learning 10 different secrets, really, that they wish they knew when they started their channel. We have Dr. Andrea, who has her silver play button. She's going to be breaking down everything she has learned that can help you go further, faster, growing your channel. And then we also have Larry Cheung with a financial channel who grew to 1,000 subscribers in just 10 days and 53,000 subscribers in 6 months. And so much powerful content is coming up. But today's video is streaming inside of actually a challenge we're doing, but also on our Think Media podcast channel and on my fan page on YouTube. And it's brought to you by our tube1kchallenge.com. If you're a part of the challenge, shout me out. Let me know, what have you been loving so far? But there's actually still some time to join. And if you go to tube1kchallenge.com, it's entirely free. It's 5 days, 7 sessions, and we actually have the replays available to watch as well. And so there's still time to get in if you haven't taken advantage of that yet. So you can see the URL on screen. And then if you happen to be watching this on the replay, take advantage of Timecodes on the YouTube chapters that will help you get through this content. But we're going to get straight into this. 10 different tips and strategies. And I want to welcome our guests today. First, we have Dr. Andrea. She's a physician in Toronto, Canada. And Dr. Andrea, tell us a little bit about what you do and when did you start YouTube and how has your journey been on YouTube briefly?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I'm super excited. Well, I am a physician in Toronto here. I am a pain specialist, so I treat people who have chronic pain. And in 2019, I decided to post some videos for my own patients to amplify a little bit my clinic, because a lot of what I do in chronic pain management is educating patients. So I decided to start recording. I still record with my iPhone. And I record here in this room in my home. And what I decided to do, I could post only one video a month. It's basically what I teach my patients in the clinic. And then I started talking and they loved it. I was posting one video a month until December 2020. And then in 2021, I joined VRA. The VRA is the program that you offer. I joined after a challenge, a 1-week challenge in May 2021. And I already had 80,000 subscribers at that time. And then it has grown a lot. And now I have 330,000 subscribers on my channel.
Wow, 330,000 now. Your journey's been incredible. And I can't wait to get into your tips in just a second. But one of the tools we use called vidIQ, I can see that you just got 1.7 million views in the last 28 days, 16,000 new subscribers. So I'm excited to learn from you. But we also have Larry Cheung with us today. And Larry, you've been on YouTube for a while now. You're a chartered financial analyst. Tell us a little bit about what you do and also how long you've been on YouTube and what the journey's been like.
Sure, absolutely. So my name's Larry, and it's, thanks for having me here, Sean. So I'm a chartered financial analyst, and I'm an educational entrepreneur. And prior to COVID, I had an in-person, education center, teaching, mathematics and English. And then COVID changed everything and absolutely, turned my business into an online program, which has been really awesome. And so, believe it or not, I've been following Sean since 2019, and at the time I was, thinking about YouTube, but I didn't pull the trigger. And in 2020, COVID, changed my business, and I was thinking, should I really move online into like a different space, into a different niche? And finally, in 2021. I watched Sean's, I think it was his YouTube challenge again. And at that point, I realized I have to adapt. I have to change. So in April of 2021, I started a YouTube channel on finance, which is my professional background in investments. And, since then, I've been, producing value-added content, investment research, and following the VRA system that Sean teaches in his program. And it's been absolutely incredible. And I've been on YouTube for about 8-9 months now. I've connected with a lot of people. It's allowed me to really help a lot of, of my viewers in investments. And it's been a great journey so far. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Larry, so much for that. And we're actually going to kick it off with point number one. We have 10 points today that we kind of have prepared ahead of time from your stories, and you can expound on these. But Larry, you talked about how patience is a virtue when it comes to YouTube. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that YouTube is a very high variance kind of business. And when I say high variance, it means the effort that you put in and the output that you get out, the outcomes could range like incredibly large. And sometimes you might post a video that you put a lot of effort into, and the outcome might not be that great. But other times you might put not as much effort into a video and have that video do really well. So one of the things that I took away from Sean's program that was very helpful was really looking at the data, understanding what it is that your audience is interested in, and then really adding value in that area, and taking the time and the patience, having the patience to review your data to know what went right, what went wrong, will ultimately, make you a more successful YouTuber. But I really do think that patience is a big part of the journey on YouTube, because the variance can be very large.
Yeah, I love that. And Dr. Andrea, I mean, you've been on the platform now since 2019, and you're a busy professional. You've got stuff to do in life, and of course, we all do. How have you had to allocate the time to create YouTube content, and especially in those early days, stick to it when you were just getting started creating your first videos? And what have you learned about the need of patience?
Oh my God, yeah, a lot. That's why in the beginning, the first 18 months, almost 2 years, I was able to post only once a month because I was doing everything. And then January 2021, that's when I made a commitment to post one video a week. And that's also when I started monetizing. Believe it or not, I did not know about monetization. I had 20,000 subscribers in January 2021, and I still had not monetized. If it was not for a friend of mine who told me that YouTube was going to put ads on my videos if I wanted or not, because I did not want ads on my videos. I said, these are my patients. I don't want them to be watching ads. But when I discovered that YouTube was going to force ads, I said, okay. So then I signed with AdSense in January 2021 when I already had 20,000 subscribers. But patience was, so that helped me to hire some people, hire help. I hired my son. He's the editor of my videos now. And that's why I'm able to post more. But it's extremely frustrating when you put a lot of efforts to do one video and you get very little, very few views. So I agree with Larry. Sometimes the effort you put, it's not correlated with the amount of views. And then you have one video that just explodes.
I love it. Well, tip number two is choose a clear channel topic and theme. Dr. Andrea, you said that keeping a clear niche and sticking to it really helps the algorithm. What have you learned about that when it comes to your channel?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I had to study so much from YouTube. And when I see that funnel, right, I didn't understand exactly what it meant, because my videos, the views from my channel, and I already had 25 million views, and I only posted 84 videos on my channel so far. So of all those 25 million views, 96% come from YouTube recommendations. And I did not understand why my videos were not ranking high on search. Like only 4% of all of these views come from search. And I thought that there was a problem with me until I discovered that that's a good thing. And which means that YouTube is promoting my videos to everyone. And I think that is a reflex of me understanding the audience. So this is extremely important. If you understand who is the person watching your video, you're going to make the videos for them. So I know the people with chronic pain, they are women more than men, and older women. So I try to make videos that, please that kind of audience, and they have pain. And I speak in a language that in lay terms, I try not to speak any complicated medical term, and I think they like that because I understand this is the patient population that come to my pain clinic anyways.
You know, one of the things I love that you said there is that you're just so focused on your patients. And we really like to talk about the creator who understands the viewer best and really serves the viewer best wins. And you want to help them and speak their language. We call that kitchen table talk. What is the way when we title our videos, the words we say in our videos, are they talking to peers who would understand insider language, or are they talking to everyday people? And if you're watching this, I think that could be a really powerful way to really connect who's the person you're serving, speak their language, and connect with them. You know, tip number 3 here is YouTube is different than other social media platforms. And Larry, I'm curious, why did you want to go all in on YouTube when there's opportunity to do other platforms? Maybe you have an approach to social media as a whole, but what is it about YouTube that made you really want to invest your time, especially as someone who really understands investment?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of people who talk about investments on Instagram or TikTok, but when we think about the way people consume information, TikTok is short form information and YouTube is long form information. You know, as someone who really wants to share deep value, I find it challenging for me to demonstrate what I know in short form content on TikTok. And I'm not sure Instagram is the best medium for me to express my views on the market. So YouTube allows me to really share my thoughts with this long form content. And because of its recommendation system, and because YouTube serves as like a track record for the views and opinions that I've shared over time, it's just a much better place for me and my niche compared to TikTok. Although I do know a lot of people can find success in those areas, I personally like to share long form content, which I find more valuable to my audience.
I love that. And Dr. Andrea, you mentioned that YouTube is very different than other social media platforms, and you had to learn a new science, YouTubeology. Talk about your experience with
Yeah.
that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I had to learn so much about YouTube. Like, I am a scientist and I publish scientific papers. I do a lot of statistics, and understanding the analytics is not easy. So YouTubeology for me, understanding not just editing videos, but how does YouTube work? What makes a good thumbnail? What makes a good script? I script all my videos and I use a teleprompter. How do you promote your videos before after you record them? But I think for me was what is very different. I am on Twitter for a long time and I had Facebook, but what I find is that YouTube nurtures the creators. They really give a lot of training for us. There is a lot of materials that helps you to be successful. And I never found this on Twitter, on Facebook, and I joined Instagram recently. But I find that YouTube really values creator. I just watched it this morning. Susan, the CEO of YouTube, and she values health information. She values education. She wants to double the amount of education on YouTube. And that's exactly what I'm doing, health education on YouTube. So I feel nurtured. I feel protected. Like even when there are hate comments, I feel that there is a way that I can YouTube values me and wants to make my mental health succeed, so I'm not burning out on YouTube, which I don't feel in any other platform.
I love that. And if you're just joining, we're talking about 10 lessons that successful creators wish they knew when they were starting. And the next one, number 4, is the importance of good titles and thumbnails being crucial to your success. And so, Larry, this was a point you mentioned. Talk a little bit about your process and coming up with a good title, a good thumbnail, and some of the things you've learned.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think about YouTube and I think about my relationship with viewers, when you first are on the platform and you first start out, nobody knows who you are. And so you attract people to view your content through a couple variables. The first is the thumbnail, the second is the title, and then the third is the topic. So when I think about how do I get someone to engage in my content, I have to make sure that I'm positioning my thumbnail and my title and delivering on the promise of, what I say that title and thumbnail will be. So because those are the only things that new viewers will learn about you, you have to do whatever you can to make those two areas, I guess, distinguished from whatever else is on the home recommendation page.
Yeah, it's so important and really a lifelong skill to continue to develop what will get attention and what will really grab your audience's attention. You mentioned it's not really though just title and thumbnail, but even topic. And I think one of the big keys to the success of your channel, from my point of view, is you're talking about topics that people really care about. Talk about that. What is your feelings of staying in touch or understanding your audience, and how do you come up with what type of videos to make next?
Yeah, so that's something that I put a lot of thought into. When I first started my channel, it was very investments based. It was very equity research, stock selection based, because those are areas that people have a very strong gravitation towards. And as I build more of an audience on YouTube, I also try to introduce content where I can connect with viewers more, meaning telling personal stories about my career and sharing lessons about setbacks that I've had. So I think when someone first starts out, I do think that they need to really deliver on a topic that a viewer really wants to know right away. No one's really interested in someone's personal story when you first get to know each other, but as you build your channel, there are content pieces that I've purposely set aside to just really build ethos with my audience, to really build trust, because I don't want my content to be 100% investments based. When you do that, it really, I would say, silos your channel so that people will only want to watch you for X. And so over time, I will talk about investments, of course, but I will talk about not just real live market events, but also investor education. That's a little bit more evergreen, and also topics related to career, so that people can engage with me on a personal level and not just come to my channel for the knowledge that I'm sharing.
Strong. Now, if you're getting value out of this, smash the like button. And I'm excited because tip number 5 is respect your audience and build trust. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't really talk about. And so I'm so excited to unpack this. Dr. Andrea, we'll start with you. You said this: with influence comes greater responsibility. I love the weight of that, but it also seems kind of heavy. What's your thoughts with that in terms of your approach to your YouTube channel and really respecting your audience and building trust?
Well, Sean, that's the most important thing for me. I am a physician and I treat people who have chronic pain. And people who watch my videos, they are suffering from chronic pain, or they know someone who is suffering. And I read every single comment because I approve every single comment before they go public. I don't let anyone, my comments are vetted by me. Unfortunately, I don't have time to answer every comment, but I read everything. So really the stories that I hear are people suffering from pain. And on the other side, there is a person, there is a real person. It's not just a viewer. And they tell me their stories, and I know how to help them, but I can't provide medical advice via social media, via YouTube. So I have a cut and paste response, which is, this channel is for educational purposes, talk to your doctor, I can't offer you medical advice. But there has been situations that I read a story and I still can remember, and I cried after I wrote that response. I cried. And because I knew how to help that person, and I couldn't because of the professional, I can't just give advice via YouTube. So the person, I remember this man from Africa, his wife had a stroke and she had a shoulder pain, and she was trying to do the exercise that I show in my video, one of my viral videos that has 4.4 million views. And he recorded her and he sent to me via Facebook. And I knew she was doing the exercise wrong because that was not the exercise for her. And I had to respond to him saying, sorry, I can't help your wife. And then I was sobbing after I said that. And then I told him, I'm going to make a video for your wife. And then I did. I did a video for shoulder pain after stroke. And then I sent to him. And then he sent to me a video of her doing the right exercises. So that's why I do this YouTube channel, because I want to help people. And he's in Africa. In my hospital where I work here, I only have the 4 walls, and I can help so many people. Even here in Toronto, I can't help everyone who has pain here. So that trust that people have in me, a lot of people write to me comments saying, you are the only hope that I have. There is nobody here to help us. We are following your advice that you write in YouTube, and we are getting better. My pain is getting better. So there's no money tag, no price that pays that. So I'm really happy and satisfied with the success of my channel because of this. I'm doing what I love doing most, which is helping people.
Wow. I mean, I'm getting chills as you're talking. And that just so I think I can see in the comments how much that's impacting people, because of course we're trying to, make a living and grow our channels. But ultimately, especially at Think Media, we're on a mission to help purpose-driven content creators. And I just love the mission you're on, and the fact that even just one life could be changed, one person's health could be impacted, one person's finances could be impacted in terms of how Larry's helping people. It's just amazing. And we're going to stay on this number 5 of respect your audience and build trust, because Larry, you really talk about the importance of eventually people are going to remember your name. And really, it's kind of a bigger level of building a brand, building trust. Share some of your thoughts in regards to tip number 5.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to. So, over the course of, producing content on my channel, I actually have a lot of people add me on LinkedIn and Instagram, and they send me direct messages letting me know how much my content has helped them understand this topic, specifically when I talk about more complicated things like macroeconomic, circumstances, like inflation, which is an issue that a lot of people have to face today, not just in the U.S. but worldwide. So when I think about what I do, and that aligns with what you just said, being a purpose-driven channel, I think that people remember who the creator is beyond just the title, the thumbnail, and the topic. So I think that sometimes when people are only focusing on producing, I would say, transactional value content, they might potentially be missing the bigger picture to build a deeper relationship with an audience. I'll give you an example. A lot of people, because they found value in my work, they were commenting in the comment section, Larry, when are you going to, start a Patreon? Larry, when are you going to, for example, help people outside of YouTube? And I actually purposely waited until I reached the 50,000 subscriber benchmark before I did any real monetization. And the reason is I don't want people to think that my YouTube channel is only to make money. It's not. You can see that a lot of the content that I do is very focused on much on investor education. It's very much focused on helping people become better equity analysts to understand the stock market. And so because people they found that kind of connection genuine, when I did start Patreon, the reception was incredible. And so many people joined without me really needing to do much marketing at all. And so when I think about everything that I've learned in my YouTube journey, including everything that I've learned from VRA, which has been very valuable, yes, the topic's important. Yes, the thumbnail and the title is important. But if a creator isn't trusted in the broad scheme of things, it can actually hurt someone. Because if a lot of people, and people are generally smart when we think about the broader population, what ends up happening is if they remember that person's name, even if that topic is interesting, the audience will actively try to not watch that person's content. And I think that's the next level of what I'm trying to achieve on YouTube. Yes, topics important, and I want to continue producing more of that. But I want to produce content where people are excited to see when I produce content. I want to produce content in the future where when people see my name, they want to immediately like learn from what I have to share.
Wow, that's so strong. You know, it actually kind of reminds me, there's a proverb that says a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. And it makes me think that, man, the brand, the trust you're building, just is a deeper level than being transactional, as you said. And so this is some weighty wisdom. But I wrote down a quote when we were doing our, pre-talk for this session. And you also said this: don't be scared to be vulnerable. The more you show your character, the more memorable you will be. And you've kind of touched on that, but I'm interested in this idea of vulnerability. What does
Yeah.
that mean for you in terms of being vulnerable in your videos?
Yeah. So when I think about my channel topic, it's very much macroeconomics, investment research, portfolio strategy. It's very, I would say, business oriented. And for me to share personal stories of setbacks that I have encountered along my career, that's an example of being vulnerable. Not because I think it will attract views, and not because I want to like garner attention. It's because I want to actually have a candid conversation with my audience. And when you have a real conversation with friends and family, it's not just business, and it's not just like content for that specific topic. It's also how you're feeling, things that you go through that like you don't normally that you might feel uncomfortable sharing, but it brings people closer together. And so that's an aspect of vulnerability that I think creators, once they get to certain stages in their journey, it would be beneficial to really help your audience know who you are, building that ethos, building that relationship.
Strong. Number 6 is there is more to YouTube than just uploading videos. And so we're going through 10 secrets that we wish we knew when starting YouTube. Dr. Andrea, you said you want to invest time before and after each upload, and that time that you invest pays off later. So what are some things you do that it doesn't just include filming the video or uploading the video?
Yeah, and I wish I knew that before. It's a lot of time. Preparing the video is what takes me most of my time, Sean. I research a lot, even though it's what I teach my patients. I study a lot, and I'm learning a lot about the topic, because I read articles and I go read books and I watch other videos, and then I write my script. In the beginning, I was so scared because I asked some of my colleagues to read my script, make sure that everything I was saying was correct. Now I don't have time anymore to do that. Sometimes I do, but I spent hours and hours and hours writing exactly word by word what I want to say, to make sure that the meaning is what I want to transmit to my patients, to my audience. And so that's what takes time. Recording is quick, uploading is quick, but then afterwards, then I say, okay, who is going to see this video? So then I have to post on my other social media. I post on Instagram, I create cards, and then I post on LinkedIn, and then Twitter and Facebook. And then I spend the whole week promoting and answering comments about that video that I just uploaded. I make an effort to answer all the videos that I uploaded that week. And then I can't answer comments from past videos anymore. There are too many. But it's a lot of work. It takes me a lot of hours to prepare before and after.
And I love, that of course, we're sharing our answers and we're sharing what it really is. YouTube is definitely a commitment. There's so many rewards, and there can be accolades and growth. And behind Dr. Andrea is the silver play button. And of course, the impact you make and even what it can lead to in terms of revenue. But at the same time, there's something about putting your heart into this and your time. And I know what's true about Dr. Andrea and Larry, and what we also commit to at Think Media, is we also spend a lot of time studying. It's studying the platform, studying blogs, reading. I buy books. I want to study business, online marketing courses, all these different things, because all of that input, it's hard to give out of being empty. And that's why when you invest in yourself and you keep learning and leveling up, your content gets richer because you've distilled down all that information. So I love just hearing about all the before and after work that it takes. And really, this is the real talk. Hit like if you've been getting value. And I'd love to hear your aha moment so far from this training. We've covered the first 6 tips out of 10, but number 7 is add value first, monetize second. So Larry, you mentioned a little bit about eventually when you launch your Patreon, but expound on this point a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So my philosophy in business in general is, people before they know who you are, right? They're interested in getting value first. And so the way I approach my channel and my content is purposely making sure that people can walk away from every single video having learned a lot and having deepened their knowledge in those areas. If they want to join my inner community, that's awesome and that's totally cool. But it's very important to be focusing on adding value first, and then lightly and gently, okay, monetizing your work. Because I think about the creators on YouTube, and I follow quite a bit, and I think that some creators, they integrate monetization into their content in such a beautiful way that makes you want to not only just support their journey, but if you're interested in their work, you actively want to, subscribe to their service. I do see some creators that are much more, for example, using hard sales in their video, and the video is much more of like a sales pitch rather than delivering on the promise of the title and the thumbnail. And because I know that people will eventually remember your name, your channel, your brand, the values that you stand for, my philosophy is that adding value first, and then focusing on the business second is something that's going to work out in the long term.
I love that. And one of our phrases we say here at Think Media, I think we actually are borrowing this from somebody else, but your income is directly correlated to the amount of value you give to the marketplace. And we just really believe too that if we can lead with value, and even especially as a finance expert yourself, the way that money is exchanged is in exchange for value. We believe that going out to dinner and paying $50, we're getting more value for the food we're getting. And so hopefully too on YouTube, if we lead with value, and I like how you also withheld from opening your Patreon because you wanted to build trust first. I just think there's something powerful about serving first, adding value first. Of course, maybe being intentional about building a business plan, but also being patient. Just kind of realizing that, man, if you add enough value to the marketplace can't help but reciprocate that value to you. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. And there's something I want to add, because one of my videos where I talked about inflation and macroeconomics, that video, I think it got over 600,000 views. And because it was placed on the home page so heavily across, users' screens across the world, some of my high school classmates and some of my family members from Asia actually saw my content on their feed. So when I think about what I'm doing, it's not just posting content and gaining subscribers and running a business. It's also about making sure that people remember me for someone who wants to help them first, and then there's an optionality to work with me on a deeper level. So that's what I want to be remembered for, and that's why I purposely waited until I got to a certain level on YouTube, 50,000 subscribers, before I did Patreon. Because if I started earlier, then it's kind of like harvesting before the food is ready.
Man, I love that. So strong. And that was number 7, but we're about to really get into it now. Number 8, be ready for positive and negative comments. Let me know in the comments if you've ever received a negative comment. Maybe you're afraid and you go, that's one of my biggest reservations, is what's going to happen if I put my content out there, and how can I prepare for those? I'm going to start with you, Dr. Andrea. What is your thought in this area of sometimes YouTube comments can be a dumpster fire? I mean, if we're honest, you know, and you're in front of all kinds of people, especially with the kind of views that you and Larry are getting. Go into what you mean by this tip.
Yeah, the good comments, they give me energy to keep doing what I'm doing, gives me, you know, the motivation, but also they can inflate your ego, right? They can make you feel bigger than you really are. And you have to be careful because we need to keep being humble and don't let your egos grow too much. But the negative comments, really, it's interesting. I open them. As I said, I approve all my comments. I don't let free comments on my channel because a lot of people are, you know, disclosing personal information. Sometimes people write all of their symptoms and then they put their telephone, email. So I don't approve those comments because of confidentiality, to protect their confidentiality and privacy. But there are some hate comments, especially because I talk about opioids a lot. You probably heard about the opioid crisis in North America, that there are a lot of people dying of overdose of opioids. And I tell my honest opinion about opioids. They're great to treat pain, but they can kill people. People can get addicted, overdose. People can, you know, do terrible things under opioids. So then I get a lot of hate comments. I get comments of people saying that I am incompetent, that I don't know anything that I'm talking about, that the information that I put in my video is wrong, that I didn't do my research properly. And that can put you down, you know, that can really hurt you because I say, well, I think I did. I think I did everything I could. And then you feel, am I really incompetent? And you know what? Every day before I open my comments to read them, I really pray. And I pray that God will prepare my heart. I'll say, whatever it's coming in those comments, please prepare my heart to hear if it's a good comment or a bad comment. If it's good, I don't want to be too proud. And if it's bad, I don't want to be depressed. I will use this. If I'm wrong, it could be that I'm wrong. I will do a better research and I will post a correction in my comments. I will pin a comment or I will redo the video at all. But you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared psychologically or that can put you down. And sometimes I thought about quitting my channel because I thought, am I doing something wrong here? Are people attacking me for what I'm saying about pain management and opioids? I said, no, I think I still am doing right and I'm still helping people.
Wow. Man, I think that we can relate to, of course, the emotions here, the fear of this coming down the road, as well as the pain we can feel when actually we get a negative comment. It kind of reminds me too, the wisdom you just shared of a quote that I learned from John Wooden, a basketball coach, who said, you can't let praise or criticism get to you. It's a weakness to get caught up in either one. And it's so wise of you to say, I don't want to get inflated by just reading all the positive comments and be on the roller coaster of emotion of tying my value maybe to just the praise, nor the criticism. And I think if we can stay, man, I love that you pray to think about, let me steward both well. There's so much wisdom there. But Larry, we got to have you in on the conversation here. I mean, you talk about how the internet can be a scary place and you're getting thousands and thousands and tens of almost 1 million views on your channel now, or maybe it's over that. That's just so many humans on the earth. What's been your experience with positive and negative comments?
Yeah. So, you know, earlier when I said that YouTube is a very high variance place, it also is very high variance when it comes to the comments section, right? Specifically when you're talking about topics that people have a very strong opinion on. And as you know, investments is a place where in the market, there are so many different opinions and there are so many different perspectives, all of which should be respected. But there are certain times when you know, people are going to leave comments that might not necessarily strike the best tone, and I guess that's, you know, putting it lightly. But as a strategist on YouTube and as an investor myself, I understand that the market is full of opinions. And because the market is full of opinions, I can expect my comment section to have a spectrum of opinions as well. That most of them, of course, are very positive, but of course there are some viewers who have different opinions to share. And so my philosophy when it comes to comments is definitely respecting everybody who has a voice to share. Just at the end of the day, I make sure that if people are not necessarily being respectful, then I'll definitely comment and really set it straight. I don't tend to delete comments. I know YouTube has that feature, but I do tend to respond when there are comments in that way, just because I think that it's a very important place for people to see counter arguments. And as long as the counter argument is healthy, that's great. If the counter argument is, I would say, making attacks outside of the topic, then I think it's appropriate to respond.
I love that you share that. And I want to encourage, if you're watching this on the replay or live, it basically comes with the territory. Larry and Dr. Andrea shared that tip number 8 is be ready for positive and negative comments. And you're going to kind of get both. The truth is, it's like the famous Aristotle quote. If you want to avoid criticism altogether, here's what you do. Just say nothing, do nothing, and be nothing. The 2022 update to that is, if you want to avoid criticism, just don't put your opinion out there, don't press record, and don't upload a video. But if you're going to make a difference, you actually do need to say something. You do need to take action. And I think you imagine, of course, maybe some negative comments will come your way, but think about all the people that Larry has helped with his advice. Think about all the people who Dr. Andrea has helped with her YouTube videos. And so there's something about having a soft heart, but thick skin on YouTube. And so that brings us to number 9, which is to think beyond YouTube. I love this because, of course, this is all about how to get, our channels growing faster. In fact, right now we're streaming this session. It's actually part of our challenge. And if you're not a part of the full challenge, we have more content like this in a private Facebook group. Tomorrow we have a session with Heather. We have another creator session just like this with a couple more guests tomorrow afternoon. But all of that's going to be happening in our private Facebook group. So make sure to register at tube1kchallenge.com if you're interested in this kind of content, and let me know what you've liked best so far. But even though this challenge and this content's all about what I wish we knew when we were starting YouTube, there's also the importance of thinking beyond YouTube. And so, Larry, you mentioned that really YouTube should just be part of your brand portfolio. Break down what that means to you and some of your advice.
Sure. So when I think about how people consume information, which is a fancy way of saying how people learn, learn visually. They also learn from a listening perspective. And if we think about YouTube, the format is videos, but some people don't necessarily like to learn with videos. Some people like to read. Some people like to listen to podcasts. And so when I think about YouTube and the format that YouTube provides us, it's a very powerful way to connect with our audience with deep value, with long form content. But for those of our audience members who want to connect with us and see our, for example, like blog, things that we have to share through a written email or through an audio podcast, YouTube is a way for us to bridge our audience with the different kinds of content pieces that we can add value to their lives outside of YouTube. So that's something that I am going to do in 2022 to connect with my audience on a written level, because I like to write. I like to speak on camera. I like to share my thoughts on video, but I also like to write. That's one of my deep passions as well. Sharing my thoughts and research through writing is something that I like to do. And I know that's a very powerful way that people learn. And the way to do that, though, is to build an audience off YouTube. And for me specifically, it's through an email list and things like that.
Super wise. There's a lot of nuggets of tips in there that ultimately, YouTube is a vehicle to reach other people, to serve other people. But it's good to diversify. Larry's building an email list, maybe diversify into other social media platforms. You could diversify into text messages, build awareness around your website or a blog. And then what's the bigger business? What's the bigger business model or what's the bigger even mission that you want to accomplish? You know, the creator economy is estimated to 5x this year, and creators are building new ventures. They're expanding into, Susan, the CEO of YouTube, said that YouTube creators are building the next generation of media companies. And so YouTube can be a starting point that can lead to so many other things, which brings us to tip number 10. And then in just a second, I want to have Dr. Andrea and Larry share with us some final encouraging words, as well as just their advice for getting through hard times on YouTube, sticking with it, and some final thoughts. But this is interesting because I think a lot of us, we want to go viral. I mean, who doesn't want a viral video? Who doesn't want to, like, man, if I just got a viral video, if I just had my moment, if I just had that video get 1 million views, if I just had a video break out. But Larry mentioned viral videos can actually hurt you. They might help you, but they could hurt you. So you want to be careful. Larry, talk to us a little bit about the caution we should have when it comes to viral videos.
Yeah, I'm glad to share my thoughts. So when I think about a human being's progression in this world, when they first get their first job, you know, what entails in that journey? They could get a promotion, right? They could get a promotion. And if they get promoted, they have to serve at a higher level. They have deeper and greater responsibility. And I think about a viral video almost as if YouTube gives you a promotion. And when I think about my situation, I had a video where I talked about inflation and the strategy behind how to hedge your portfolio because of inflation. And that video did really well. And I'm glad I helped a lot of people. And that video elevated my channel to the next level. But it really, in my mind, I took it as a very serious matter. I didn't just celebrate because this video did really well. In fact, I realized that YouTube had promoted me to a position where I would now need to serve people and add even more value. And if I didn't do that correctly, and if I didn't do that in the right way, then that viral video or that promotion per se would not, for example, be very fruitful. So I think when you get a viral video, you have to really make sure that the rest of your content, the quality of it, of course, quality is king on YouTube. The quality and the follow through of future videos makes people want to continue to, you know, connect with you on your journey. And that's the importance, I think, of a viral video, because if some people, they go viral, but the subsequent videos don't really connect with the audience at that level, then the algorithm might get confused. And YouTube is an algorithm after all. We do have to respect the algorithm. And therefore the channel might not, for example, grow organically like the creator had wanted. So I think of viral videos as a double-edged sword, and I think of it as a promotion. If you are ready to be on that stage, because a viral video will give you a lot more subscribers, you know, viral videos can definitely help you. But if you're not ready and you don't follow through in the right way, then I think that it might not be as helpful.
A lot of wisdom there. And it kind of makes me think, we like to say, use your season in obscurity to prepare you for popularity. You know, sometimes obscurity is a blessing. Sometimes your first videos not really being seen much are great because you get to practice in public, but you may not be ready for prime time. You're kind of just doing your developmental years. And all of us need those, whether they happen on YouTube or they happen somewhere else. You didn't become a financial expert overnight. Dr. Andrea didn't become a chronic pain specialist overnight. It takes time. And so there's something so powerful about your moment. Might be a year or 2 or 3 from now when you go viral, but then you're ready for it. And we've also seen, what's so fascinating is we have seen people come and go on YouTube. We've seen a viral person truly have 15 minutes of fame and then they're gone. Those that have staying power really have a stronger foundation, like Larry has just described. Well, I want to hear from Dr. Andrea and then Larry. Really, let's talk mindset. As we land the plane today, you know, there's so many tactics you shared, and I want to just say thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you so much for spending the time to serve the Think Media community. And of course, there's topics and titles and thumbnails, but YouTube really takes some mental toughness. And I just would ask, what is kind of your tips for those that they might be feeling great right now, Dr. Andrea? They might be kind of discouraged. Just some encouragement that you've learned of sticking with YouTube through the highs and the lows now that you've been doing this for a few years. Go for it.
Thank you. Yes. Sean, I find that sometimes I was stubborn and I had some fixed ideas. I wanted to do this video. And then when I asked some people around me, could be my husband or my coworkers or even my patients, they said, no, don't do a video like that. And I still did it because I was stubborn. So I didn't listen to criticism, and that hurt not only my channel, it didn't hurt my channel that much, but I said, why did I, now going back, I say, why did I do that? Why I didn't listen to them? So I think now I am more like a person that if someone tells me, change this, change that, don't do this, don't do that, and I consult a lot of people before I select my topics, I think we need to hear, counsel. I think we need to hear, ask your friends and the VRA community. I'm doing propaganda for you, but I'm not getting any payment for that. But the VRA community is great because there is a group of like-minded people, and you post your ideas there, and people will tell you the truth, what they're really thinking. And your thumbnail is good, your thumbnail is not good. No, this idea is good. No, your niche is too broad. You have to narrow down. I think we need to listen to that criticism. What is the value if you ask for an opinion, but then you don't listen to the answer? So my advice is ask people around you what they're thinking about your channel. Ask people for opinions, for suggestions, but listen. And really don't be too stubborn. Try to listen. They're trying to help you if they really are on your side. If you are stubborn, you're going to pay the price later.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And people have been saying it. Yeah, being teachable and receptive. And sometimes, you can't read the label from inside the box. And there's something so powerful. I'm glad that you mentioned, getting feedback from like a focus group. Could be friends and family or somebody or something like the Video Rake It Academy group, where you can get some feedback on your thumbnails or your video or your opening or your niche. And so, Dr. Andrea, I really, really appreciate you there. Larry, let us know the ups and downs. You've been on YouTube, around like 7 months now, right? So it's been actually rather a short time, but I think this is probably the quickest you've been exposed to tens of thousands of people, nearly 1 million views or beyond. And that's an emotional roller coaster. I know for me, I'm a small town kid. I grew up in it. I've had exponentially more views on YouTube than lived in my small town, of course. And that's kind of weird as humans, to just kind of have that acceleration and new people coming in our life and positive and negative opinions. What's kind of your advice for the mental toughness or the mindset that maybe you've learned to develop on your journey on YouTube?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm happy to share my thoughts. Before I do so, I do want to say that the VRA community on the Facebook group has been a really supportive group, and whenever you ask questions, I've asked questions in the past in the group, I always get some really helpful answers. So really awesome community that Sean's put together. But in terms of how I view YouTube in terms of the ups and downs, my background is I'm a small business owner. I'm an entrepreneur off YouTube, and I also help people with investments on YouTube. So I'm used to this concept of the high variance nature of outcomes. Sometimes there are going to be videos that just perform really well, and sometimes there are going to be videos that are like in the analytics, like not let's just say not top 5. Okay, let's just say not top 5, and we have to be ready to not just accept it, but we have to be ready to understand why. And YouTube is a place that will challenge your assumptions. It will challenge what you think you know about your audience. It will challenge you based on what you think you know about the world and what the world cares about, because the data will tell you what the world cares about. So I would say one of the key takeaways for your audience listening, whether you're first starting out or you're experienced, is listen to the data. It doesn't get any more objective than this. And believe it or not, YouTube, as hard as it is, as crowded as it is, it at the end of the day is really still a meritocracy. And what I mean by that is you will get discovered if you are good. You will get discovered if you add some really awesome content. It could be funny content, it could be helpful content, it could be deep content, it could be therapeutic content. It doesn't matter. But the point is, if you are really good at what you do, I do believe no matter how crowded the space is right now, you will be discovered. And so unlike a traditional company where you have to rise to the ranks, and there's a lot of office politics, right? There's less variance in that kind of hierarchy and that kind of progression, but there's not as much potential growth. And so on YouTube, in exchange for such a awesome future, you have to be willing to ride the massive variance. And in mathematics, it's like large polynomials, peaks and valleys where the ranges are very large, right? You just have to be ready for that. And the last thing that I want to say is people, I think, who operate with a mission, people who operate with mission first and commercial interest second, are more likely to succeed on YouTube over the long term, because it prevents that burnout factor from really kicking in. When you really love what you do and you're really engrossed in your work, then even if, like me, you're researching the market, understanding companies, digging deep into the research for at least 12 to 14 hours a day, it doesn't really feel like work. But then your output to your audience feels like such valuable information. And so that's the advice that I want to share. Be prepared for a high variance journey. Be prepared for a lot of peaks and valleys. And remember that passion comes first and that commercial interest comes second.
Whoo, that was a bunch of wisdom. And I agree with Victoria. The fact you said polynomial, I don't even know how to say it, but I felt it, the emotional roller coaster of YouTube. And I just appreciate you so much for the wisdom that you were sharing there. Man, mission first, commercial interest second. Friends, can you show some love and appreciation to Larry and Dr. Andrea? What stood out to you best? And I know that this would be their heart for you as well. What are you going to take action on? Like, what's the takeaway that you can apply? Because they're action takers, and we just want to see you win. We want to see your YouTube channel grow. And can you just show some love for them? Dr. Andrea, thank you so much. Larry, thank you so much for everything you shared today. And friends, hit the like button and the hearts, and whether you're on Facebook or YouTube for this session. As a reminder, we just streamed this one session publicly a few places, just in case you haven't made it into the YouTube 1K challenge yet. And so Melissa is going to tell us any kind of announcements on what's happening next there. And big thanks again to Andrea and Larry. And Melissa, what was your aha moment? And then just let us know what we need to do next and how we could be a part of this challenge if we haven't registered yet.
Absolutely, Sean. I think the really incredible thing is seeing two people in such interesting niches with all of these different unique circumstances succeeding in what they're doing and helping people. Dr. Andrea, when you're talking through just like how emotional you are about helping your audience, I think that to me is that's why we do what we do, is because of people like you, people who are making such an impact on others, and you're helping people find healing and peace and comfort. And so that is why we do what we do. It's a trickle down effect. And Dr. Andrea, you're going to also encourage other people to then get on YouTube and share their message. They're going to see what you're doing, and they're going to say, I can actually do that too. I have something I need to share. So that is really incredible. And Larry, for you as well, I can't get over that at this time of just like how impactful what you guys are doing is, and again, that trickle down effect. So thank you so much for being a part of our community, and then for coming on here and sharing and encouraging our community with that today. I know that there's a ton of incredible aha moments in the chat of people that were just getting unlocks because of your guys' journey. So I appreciate you. And I want to encourage anybody who's watching this right now, you can do this too. That was the whole point of this session. You can do this too. You can also have an impact, share that message, and also find the kind of influence that Larry and Andrea have found. So excited for all of you guys in the chat. I hope you are ready to just dive in and make a video. Just get yourselves out there. So with that, I do want to encourage you guys that we have another session tomorrow morning. So wherever you're watching from, if you are not yet in the challenge, you can actually jump in and watch any of the sessions we have previously done. We have all those recordings available to you. We've had some really incredible content, highly actionable, very strategic, and also very empowering. So our next session that we have coming up tomorrow morning for all of our challenge takers is the influence method. So how the biggest channels are getting millions of views and making a full-time income online. So Heather Torres is going to be bringing that message to us. It is going to be excellent, as every session is. So I hope to see you on there. Before the session starts, we do a tech giveaway. And so there's, of course, just massive value, also a lot of fun going on over on that session tomorrow morning. So with that, if you haven't joined the challenge, then I encourage you, yes, definitely head to tube1kchallenge.com. Join us. There's still time to get in and start soaking in all of the rest of the valuable content that we have for you guys.